Hey guys, welcome back. So in the last tutorial, we showed you how to do materials by face. Whether that be under your floors, where you can do a floor by face, or a curtain system, or even a wall by face. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to get rid of this wall here, and then I'll show you how to create an opening that runs all the way through your structure. And then I'll show you how to make stairs that run through that opening, and how to do it consistently without having to copy and paste on each floor plate, because that would be very tedious. So I'm going to go onto my level 2 floor plan. So normally what we would do is if this was a standard floor plate, we would try to highlight over the floor plate that we want to work with. Now that might be a little bit tricky with our conceptual mass, but what you can always do is highlight everything and then go to Filter, and I'll choose only floors. Now when you press OK, there's our floor plate. Now if I wanted to, I could hit Edit Boundary, draw a square right in the middle, and that would create an opening. But I would have to do that perfectly for every level. But fortunately, there's another way that's much easier. If you go to the Architecture tab, all the way on the right-hand side, you'll see an icon that says Shaft Openings. And you can choose to make your shaft either one slot or consistent all the way through. And that's the one I want. So I'm going to choose Shaft Opening. And I want to get a feel for my center of mass. Okay, it's mostly over here then. So I'll go back to my second floor and click and draw a rectangle around where the central area is. And let's say we'll make it 12 by 24 and hit the check mark. Now realize that you're going to be going from your base offset, which is -1. Our base constraint is level 1, and I don't want to cut through it, so I'm going to set the base offset to 1 foot. And then I'm going to set the top constraint from unconnected all the way up to the 25th floor. Then I'll hit apply. Now what that's going to do, and I'm going to go into 3D so we can see it better, is it actually cuts through every area. Now you'll notice that it actually is a little bit off. It goes outside of the constraints of my building, which is technically doable, but in this case I want to make it a little more centralized. So I'm going to move it more to the center of my model. So to do that, I'll click back into level 2, I'll go to Edit Sketch, and I'll move that shaft over more to the center of the model. Once it's placed, I'll hit the check mark, and by doing that, you can now see that it cuts straight through the model without moving outside its boundaries. Now if you still see some purple, keep in mind that the purple is just the mass. This won't cut through a mass, but it will cut through all the floors. So if I go back to Massing in Site and click Show Mass, then you can really see the opening. Alright, so now that we have our shaft running all the way through our building, now we're ready to put in a stair. Now remember from the beginning of the lesson, when I said that each level needed to be consistent? Well, that's because the stair is going to have a consistent rise and tread. If you, for instance, had a different first floor, but then all the other floors were the same, you'd have to create 2 different stairs. But because ours are all the same, I'm going to go to Architecture, and then I'm just going to create a simple stair. That is to say, I'm going to use a run stair, not the stair by sketch that we've covered in previous tutorials. This will make the process a little bit easier for demonstration purposes. So I'll go about halfway across the opening, and that'll make 9 risers. Alright, and then I will go back the other way. Then I will hit the check mark. And so now we have our stair running from level 2 to level 3. Now the reason I started on level 2 is because if you go to level 1, you'll see there's no cut for the opening. So I wanted to show this so I know exactly where that opening is and where to terminate it. So now I can change the stair's base level to level 1, and the top level to level 2. Now my stair runs from the first floor to the second floor, in line with the shaft. But what about the other levels? Well, they're all very consistent. So if I can click on my stair for a moment, and give me a sec to get in there, you'll see it runs from level 1 to level 2, but then there's an option for a multi-story top level. So now if you click on that option, and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and select, let's say, level 24, then when you hit apply, you'll see that the stair runs all the way up through your building, and in our case actually a little bit outside the building. So you might have to cut it back a couple of levels in a building like this, since some of those levels might not be usable. So in this case, I'll change the multi-story top level down to level 21. And there we go. Now for some of these topmost floors that are a little bit unachievable, I may just select them and delete them from the model. And you can actually do the same with the other side, since I've left some room. So I'm going to go back to my level 2 floor plan, and you can either build a whole new stair, or you can choose the mirror draw axis option. Find the midpoint of your opening, and then it'll automatically flip it. And now if we go into 3D view, you can actually see our second stair. Alright guys, that ends it for multi-stories, and for how to build a shaft opening, and how to work with Conceptual Mass mode. This mode really gives you freedom to manipulate everything, whether it be floor plates, or walls, or even curtain systems. So Conceptual Mass shows that you can really break any Revit parameters that you want or need to, in order to create particular shapes or geometries for your project. Alright, we'll see you in the next lesson.